Yo, what up? It is Bartleboss here, and this is something new, something we haven't done on the show yet, but something that is we're gonna try out. And who else? Who better to have with me today? But my homie, my brother, my forever face, fucking looking. I don't even know. Yeah, that. Thank you, ladies. No, my homie for life, my blood brother, the dead guy. Um, some of y'all might not know, but we have a lot of fucking history together. My very first podcast was a podcast I did with him called the Bartleboss and the Dead Guy Show. I know I talk about it ad
Oh,
nauseum on the fucking channel, but shout outs to Snaps and 4A to Kiefer and fucking Bash here
man,
and
that
Flipsy.
brings me back.
Oh, I know. And one of the things we used to do on that channel is we would just fucking talk. We would have a topic or we would talk about the news and we would just fucking we would give our own opinions on things. And we're gonna revamp that tonight with a new segment that's called whatever the fuck I call it. I don't know yet. Um,
That
but
sounds like a good title right there.
yeah, right. It's probably gonna have the word Bartle in it somewhere because I'm really conceited. But I think this whole conversation, which if you've obviously you peeped out the thumbnail, you read the title, you clicked on the fucking video. Tonight we're going to be talking about the divide, and a bunch of other things as well. That's just the main topic of tonight, the word of the day, if you will. And I think the best place to start with all this is talking not about the divide itself, but the recent diss track that was dropped by Lil Pink, I think his name is
Yeah,
Lil Stank, um, Distant Violent J, one of like 400 Violent J disses that have dropped this week. Because everybody and their mama wants to diss J from now in eternity. But I kicked my desk. Great. Uh, so Little Pink dropped a diss track on Violent J, and there's a little bit more to the story. You kind of see it in the music video, with a text message that was sent to Lil Pink. Bash, you wanna talk a little bit about you know no
so to be honest with you, this was kind of eye opening to me because I didn't know who this guy was until the diss track came out, and it was actually a subscriber that told me to go check it out. Pretty much, he had a conversation with Violent J over Instagram, and Violent J sent him a screenshot of him taking a picture with Twisted and Blaze and so on and so forth. And his response was, "You work with hoes, you get hoed out," and then called him a fucking nerd. And it was all because this dude was noticed by Twisted and has a track coming up featuring Jamie Madrox. So it it started with that, and it I kind of feel like it landed horribly. The
right.
response, man.
I mean, so yeah, that does suck. I mean, Jay saying that someone isn't new. It's not outside of the realm of stories we get from Violent J when it comes to Twisted, which we will touch on a little bit more. But I gotta say the uh, response was overkill. First off, and second of all, holy shit, was that a bad song? Um, I thought it was like an intro at first where he's just talking over like some weird 70s porno music. And he keeps talking, it's not like rapping. He's like talking in a fucking I'm a cool guy, horrorcore guy, deep voice. And then he just starts saying shit. Obviously he talked about Laney. He talks about Jay's heart problems and stuff. And I get you're upset because Jay called you a nerd, but I think it's a little bit of an overkill, if you ask me. And nobody should be bringing up dead girlfriends or fucking health or mental health, physical health issues. It's just fucking lame.
To be honest with you, like he did cross the line on so many different fucking levels when he did that, when he brought up her. I've said this in the past. You know, do not bring people's personal lives into it because you do not know what's going to happen. And this has kind of been like an awkward 2 years for Jay, announcing his heart condition at the gathering 2 years ago, then Laney passing away. And
Mhm.
it's been shot after shot for him. Plus, he's had people in the media, sitting there taking shots at him. Like you got One Man Crew, you got Rachel Paul and Missy Rain, and that whole
Right.
situation. And it's like, what is going on here? This guy's at his low point. Why are you guys trying to kick him while he's down?
Right. Well, and then what? Playboy the Beast just made a diss about him as well.
Yeah,
So yeah, everybody's just lining up to diss Jay, which I mean is nothing new. Everybody shits on Jay for some reason. I love Jay. I know. Okay, so I will say this: I know Jay is not the best person 100% of the time. This case in point, this this whole thing, which is kind of the launch off point of our real conversation, which isn't Little Pink. Fuck that guy. We don't care about him. We just want to say fuck you. Your song sucked. You know, but this is the different side. This is the beef tiger side, pure heel. But uh no, the real topic here is the divide and where we're at with the divide. Because for a while there, it seemed like the divide was calming down. But with I feel like outside of the direct Violent J and Twisted and Shaggy, like directly between them, the divide is still very alive and very real. But I feel like kind of going outwards to more artists and other areas, I feel like the lines are fading a little bit. But the clowns are always here to remind us still, fuck Twisted. Um,
oh yeah,
which I mean, I know this is kind of weird for us because you are very much a MNE and psychopathic,
uh,
everybody's awesome type thing. And I'm more of the I like psychopathic more, but that's more of a personal choice.
yeah.
It's and I don't vibe with Twisted, but that's not that I'm saying that I hate Twisted or I have issues with Twisted. It's just it's not all my favorite type music.
Right, and there's nothing wrong with that, I feel like because there's such a fucking divide, and Twisted had said this in an interview. They said, mom and dad are getting divorced, and the kids are kind of stuck in the middle, being forced to choose, and it sucks. It sucks for us that still love both sides of it because it seems like we're targeted most of the time when it comes down to the rest of the community. They're like, no, you need to pick a side.
Right.
And it's stupid. I don't walk up to people and I don't tell them, hey, you should, fucking listen to this and shut up and like it. I don't bother to do that
Right.
because I want everybody to be comfortable in their own skin. There's more than just the music that brought us together.
I mean, but it's still there though. Like underlying everything, the divide is still there, and it sucks that it's there. Um, but it's like you said, we're like kids in a messy fucking relationship, and we're kind of casualties of their bad blood. Because even though we can say, oh, it's between them, it's strictly between them, like so just instantly like take for instance just recently at the gathering when they did fuck the world,
Yeah.
notably Jay said fuck Twisted, and I'm sure they're how are Twisted fans in the crowd responding to that?
Not well. You saw it at last year's gathering when I forget which YouTuber did it, but he did a documentary about the gathering, and
Mhm.
they ended up catching footage of a girl wearing a Twisted charm, and she had said, if you're a fan of Dark Lotus, then you're a fan of Twisted. I'm out here because I'm a fan of both. And
Yeah.
she even though she was intoxicated, she got very upset about it, and it was very apparent. And there are people in the community that are still fighting that. My former co-host Dave Lamon. His thing on YouTube is Twisted Nation. He is one
Hmm.
of the biggest Twisted fans I've ever met, and it was part of the reason of what drew me to him was because he had he had a foresight to say, eventually this will end.
Right, which I'm still not convinced it will, but I think the biggest thing to remember is Jay is 50 something years old. He built his empire and he has personal beef with Twisted. And that's his prerogative. He is allowed to do that. Now, is it smart for business sense? No, absolutely not, because they're hindering the art. They're outcasting artists that they easily could be working with. There's so many artists that kind of ride the line that I would love to see do a Insane Clown
Hmm.
Posse song, and they're just saying, it's clear, even though it's not been written out in words, like if you work with M&E, you can forget about working with Psychopathic.
Which kind of sucks because during the Chris Hansen interview on the Patreon, you know, they said that they did not have a problem with any upcoming artists that signed to M&E. They're just not going to work with the ones that used to be signed to Psychopathic. And now we're starting to see that more, where if you do anything with M&E and Twisted, you're immediately blacklisted. And it's
Right.
hard because there's a lot of good upcoming artists. And we even have, like, me and you were talking about this prior, Alex Zulul.
Hmm.
They're fighting right now just to get an entire day for Long Live Evil at the Gathering, and they're probably not going to get it, even though they've performed at the Gathering multiple times.
Right, and I mean, Super Famous played last year, which was blew my fucking mind, because that's kind of where I was starting to feel like, okay, maybe the divide is easing up a bit, but
Yeah,
very much in the head of the clowns, it hasn't, and again, it's fair, it's fair to say, oh, okay, they have personal beef, that's between them. I'm not involved in that. So I have no opinion on whether or not I think it's bad for business. Like I keep saying, it's bad for business for sure. But if Jay wants to have that opinion, he's allowed to. Fuck you guys. No, not fuck you guys. I love you guys. Um,
he's
I get
he's
I get wild.
definitely he's definitely allowed to have that opinion. Um, and we don't necessarily know everything about what
Hmm.
happened. We've gotten certain things from both sides, but we have seen recently, mainly from Monoxide, him telling stories about shit that he did with Jay and with Shaggy. And he's been open about, he said that they should have been at the march and that they should have marched. And he's even said that he misses Psychopathic, he misses the Gathering, and he misses being around Jay and Shaggy.
Hmm.
It's been such a large portion of their history, especially with their come up, that of course they're gonna look back at the good times that they had, and they're gonna remember them. And it seems like he's at that point now where, and this is something that kind of confuses me with a lot of people when they say this, that everybody is saying that Twisted is failing. They're not, though. They've broken off into several new markets and are excelling. They started their own event, and it's booming. They are also teaming up with, like, the likes of Spencer from Ice Nine Kills and doing
Hmm.
that dude's convention and shit like that. They have their own pop figures, comic books, so on and so forth. But they're now looking back towards how they came up, and they're like, we see that the fans want this to end, and I think that they want this to end as well. They want that camaraderie back together, and it just doesn't seem like it's happening.
I mean, I agree to a sense, but I feel like there's still shots being taken on both sides, whether or not they admit it or not. I feel like, clearly there's shots being taken from the psychopathic side.
Hmm.
But just revamping Lotus and Rydas, I feel like that is a direct shot at the clowns. I know people are like, "Oh, well, we like them, and that's why they're bringing them back," but they know what they're doing.
Oh yeah,
They know that they are ripping off something that they had only part to do with.
yeah,
So
and I'm
yeah.
gonna relate that back to something that DC said. and I believe you were actually on the live stream with me when he said this as a guest of ours. If you get a chance to see Twisted and Blaze perform any Dark Lotus tracks, that's
Mm,
the closest that you're going to get to Dark Lotus as it stands. And, yeah, it sucks because it's not actual Dark Lotus anymore, because you're still missing two key elements. You're missing Shaggy and Violent J.
right.
But at the same time, you're still getting something out of it. And yeah, it sucks. It sucks because they're definitely taking it as a shot. And I have reported this, even over the past year with some of the EPs that Twisted has dropped. It's clear that a lot of the tracks that they've dropped recently,
Mm,
and they've even openly said this, are tracks that they've had pre-recorded now for fucking over a year, some of them 2 years old, and that was when they were still pissed about everything. And one of them, they flat out called Violent J a monster, and I kind of looked at it and I was like, well, what you're saying and what you just released is two
right.
different things. But when you have somebody still like throwing daggers at you, it's going to happen.
Right. I mean, so the bad blood is still going to be there, and I mean it is what it is. But what I think it really hurts is those artists that are in between.
Yeah,
Especially because you don't know where people land. There's artists like the Michigan Misfits who unfortunately I didn't get to interview this week, but we will be getting that done. But they are very, they do a lot with M&E. So don't plan on seeing them on a psychopathic track anytime fucking soon. Same I think we said this before we were recording. Gibby Stites, Gibby was on MNE
yeah,
and he fucking hated it. He hated it to a fucking T, and he hasn't been open about that because he clearly did not sign a non-disclosure agreement, which is a big thing between both those guys. Is the NDAs, both the psychopathic and M&E, they're big with the NDAs because they don't want their business getting out.
yeah.
But
We
Gibby
actually
never signed one, so he can talk about kind of his what it was like on M&E.
Well, you also got to think on the off side of it too. As so, a former psychopathic artist in Light,
Yeah,
you know, he's now
exactly.
able to do shit with M&E, but he was under a heavy contract when he was with psychopathic, and it bled over into after he was fired or kicked off
Right.
psychopathic. Now, pretty soon that is coming to an end, and he's going to be able to actually open up about a lot of shit. And we saw this when him and Straight Jacket did that live stream. Straight Jacket came right off the cuff about it because Straight Jacket was pissed that everybody was saying, "Oh, good thing Otis got hurt in that car accident."
Hmm.
And I remember saying this, and I believe you remember. Uh, Human life is the most precious thing in the world. You
Right.
might not like somebody, doesn't mean you want them, permanently hurt or dead.
Right. But going along this idea with Light as well, though, there was some controversy with Light because he wanted to do a show, or I think it was a cipher with
It was a
M and
song.
E. Yeah, and ICP said no, like Psychopathic said no, and that caused a lot of division. And I'll be curious to see if Light takes the high road when his NDA is up, or if he keeps it to it, like he keeps it to himself, or if we get some dirty secrets. I do know I interviewed Project Born a few weeks back, and shout out to those guys. Thank you again for coming on the show. Fucking love you. And I asked them like, "What's your rapport with Psychopathic?" And they're like, "Oh, Nitty is still like close with Jay. Like Nitty and Jay are close friends."
Hmm.
And you know, I asked them if they would gather again. They're like, "Oh, we would, but Nitty's retiring."
Yeah,
Which I mean, that makes me sad. I love you, Nitty. But you know, clearly it's not like it's situational too. It seems.
Yeah, and here's an artist that nobody's really seen or heard anything from lately, or at least
Hmm.
I haven't. Big Hoodoo.
Right. I
Where's he been in the whole mix?
I feel like Eardrug has been very quiet. Benny finally has been releasing some stuff. Shout out to Benny Buttons. Uh, I'm just curious to see. I feel like maybe they've had some personal setbacks, and that's why we haven't seen anything. But I am curious to see what Eardrug has for us because it seems like they're a sleeping dragon and they're just waiting to fucking come out. But again, it will be interesting to see who shows up on their features if they're doing shit with M&E because Ouija's not doing shit with M&E. And anyone from Chapter 17 is not doing shit with M&E. Uh,
Yeah.
and that seems to be like in the fucking contract. Like, hey, no, not happening.
Well, you
Um,
seen, not to cut you off, but
no, yeah,
you've actually seen Ouija get pissed off at fans on his Instagram lives that he does when they ask him about Twisted and what he thinks about it, and he's like, "I'm not here to fucking talk about that. I'm here to talk about my music."
right,
And it kind of sucks because I am an Ouija Mac fan. I'm a huge Ouija fan, and I have this thought in my head, and I think a lot of people do. What if Twisted and Ouija did a track together? What would
right.
that sound like?
So I
You know?
think I think it's one he doesn't want to get in trouble. So obviously he's not going to comment on Twisted stuff because and I think also maybe he knows a little more of the history than a lot of us because he is closer to the clowns.
Yeah.
Um, but it seems like the quote unquote 17 percenters. A lot of them tend to be Ouija fans. A lot of them tend to be all about Chapter 17, which I mean makes sense with the 17 percenter. But I don't necessarily think Ouija has the same view. I don't think Ouija absolutely just outright fucking hates Twisted. I think it's more of a business thing.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong. I hate the whole 17 percenter thing. I hate the whole Twizzler thing too. Um,
There's I look at it this way. There's three sides to this community. There's
right,
17 percenters, there's Twizzlers, and then there's just us Juggalos
right.
that sit in the fucking middle.
Which is it seems like that middle is getting larger and larger too. Like the
Yeah.
people that care less about who they're listening to. Obviously, I play on my channel. I play everything from every side. Obviously, I'm not playing Twisted or Insane Clown Posse because I only play what I have permission to play. But a big group that kind of falls in the middle that we see doing stuff with both sides is LSP.
Mm-hmm.
LSP and obviously they do more with M&E directly. They're not doing shit on the clown uh, tracks. But like this is where I run into the issue is like we could be having Scum on Insane Clown Posse tracks. We could
Mm-hmm.
be having Stray from Sky Swamp Orange on Insane Clown Posse tracks. Um Other artists, I know I'm missing a bunch of you guys out there. If you're watching, I fucking love you all. Um but I feel like the art is suffering and it's because of the personal beef.
Yeah, and it's hurt. To be honest with you, it's hurting so many of these up and comers. Because see, the way I look at it is, you have somebody like Zitro,
Hmm.
who has done several big shows with Psychopathic, and The Gathering. Um, but then he's turned around and he did Camp Exul, and I kind of sat there and I'd asked him when we had him on, um, have you seen any retaliation about that? And he was like, not that I've noticed. And
Right.
then he's performing at the gathering, and it was like, okay, cool. Obviously, they didn't care. But then you have guys that are being noticed by M&E, and M&E is actually putting the spotlight on them. And you got people like Jamie that's doing features on a lot of their tracks, but then they can't perform at the gathering. They're not allowed to do open up
Right.
for ICP, and it's pretty
See,
much you're blacklisted and you're told no, we don't accept you. And I don't understand that because this community was
right.
built on love.
And that's why I think what Psychopathic doing is kind of really bad for business because Twisted's okay with working with a bunch of fucking people. So the scene is growing outward from that side. So if you're on that side or you're in the middle, the scene is great. There's lots of
Mhm.
music, lots to listen to. But I was strictly clowns for the longest fucking time, and psychopathics are pretty fucking bare because they're not willing to work with people, and so now we're getting like I appreciate we're getting like Roadside Ghost and like a bunch of other fucking like interesting music choices, but at the same time we're not getting the meat of our scene.
Mhm.
And everybody wants to hear, like I was talking about Gibby.
Yeah.
Who knows where he stands with psychopathic because he was on M&E. I would love to hear Gibby on a psychopathic track, whether it's the clowns or somebody from chapter 17 or what have you. Like I would love to hear that.
Yeah, like we just saw. So I did a recently. I just did a video talking about Scum doing having Ouija on a feature for a song called "The Selectors"
Right.
versus his song "The Cold Ones" with Light. Which track was better?
Hmm.
And then you seen even though LSP just lost Darby O'Trell to Chapter 17, him and Scum just did a track called "Sick Puppies."
Right. On
You know,
the new EP Uncle Bad Uncle, which
yeah,
we're going to talk about in a little bit. There's a giveaway coming up, and there are chances to win the brand new EP. I don't even know if it's released yet, but I have copies of it that I'm going to be giving away, as well as Michael Lawless's new Carn Evil and the new Welcome to the Sanctum from Mattapelli Music. So fucking stay tuned. We're going to talk about it a little bit later, as well as there will be a announcement video soon, very soon on that.
it's just it's not only back to what we were saying though.
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
It's a bad business deal, and one of the things that I actually feel like I should bring up is we ended up talking to Zetro during a live stream, and I was getting messages from him, and I
Hmm.
was reporting it while I was live. And he said that Jay wanted to sign him to Psychopathic. Now we all know Ouija Mac was the very last signee to Psychopathic,
Right.
but Jay wanted to sign him before Yum Yum was released. And Jump Steady said, we can't afford it. We can't put any money behind him like we did all the previous artists. So
Right.
they gave him a distribution deal instead to help him with his album. It seems like not only when they lost, half the original roster,
Right.
it seems like business started going down, and it seemed like the finances, you know, started to go away. And you heard Shaggy say this during that Chris Hansen interview. He was like, Twisted wanted their masters back. He said that's how labels make their money is off the masters. And I feel like when Twisted left and they started getting their masters from them, that's when they started losing some heavy money because they didn't realize at first how much money they were getting from the Twisted merch and the Twisted
Right.
CDs.
Well, yeah,
So
and the Divide had to hurt them financially too. A lot of people don't like the second deck as much, and maybe part of that is the absence of more music. Like they've gone from like a lot of they were doing a lot of features with Twisted and Blaze and ABK and stuff. You listen to Shangri La, almost every song has one of them.
yeah,
Uh, and then moving on from there, just we got Danny Brown, we have some Isham and some other names, but like it really slowed down. Even
yeah,
with the second wave, with Blase and Hoodoo and Ouija and stuff, the features, Fred didn't have any of them featured until Flip. Flip had the features.
yeah.
Um, Yum Yum
You
had
know,
like a bunch of people we
don't even
hadn't
really
heard
know.
of. Yeah. So I feel like that may be one of the contributing reasons why also, they might financially be struggling a little bit because, the second deck isn't doing as well as the first. But
it seems like Bang Pow Boom was a good start for it,
yeah,
because that it reminded you of the first deck, and it had a lot of similarities. But then you got into Mighty Death Pop, and they changed everything up, and it
uh,
was like,
I still love Death Pop though. Like I will say I underrated Death Pop in the beginning, but
yeah,
hearing Death Pop more and more, I'm like, how did it not? How did this one not take off? Like Death Pop was really good,
yeah. It took me. I'll tell you this: Death Pop took me about 2 years to get into. I wasn't
right?
a fan of it at first, but I kept listening to it. Now I have it tattooed on my leg.
Hell yeah.
It's become one of my favorite albums. But then you got The Marvelous Missing Link, Lost and Found. Took me a little bit to get into Found, but I was heavy on Lost because Lost kind of reminded me of Hell's Pit. And I'm a huge Hell's Pit
Boo!
mark.
You're gonna make me do it? No,
Yep.
I won't. I
I
won't
got,
do it. But yeah, no, I feel like maybe part of that is there was a lot going on because there was the gang shit and there was the march and all this beef between them two, and I think that kind of bled through the music and not even just like how they produced the music, but like the feeling you got. Because now looking back at it now, I appreciate those albums more, and that's
mm.
because there's not this overhanging fucking well Twisted's not on it because fuck Twisted type bullshit.
See, that's
You know,
the thing is like, I don't know how you feel about Fred, but
I love Fred.
I have a few tracks off of Fred that I really dig. You know,
Hmm.
um, like Fury, Game Over, Shimmer definitely is a top track for me. Seriously hilarious, which was the main diss track on
Yeah,
there.
yeah, and you could, and that song alone, you could tell like it's still very emotional. Like it's very emotion driven still. The issues between these guys. So I think the point of all this is saying like, yeah, the divide sucks, but you guys need to remember there is like real emotions and like real beef between these guys still.
Yeah,
And it sucks. I wish they, at least could be more amicable, but it is what it is. I have people I do not get along with. And I know that's impossible to believe because I'm such a fucking bubbly dude. But it's it's personal and
yeah.
you know, so I understand what Jay's going through and I could never say anything bad about Jay cuz I fucking love Jay.
I love Violent J, with from the bottom of my heart. I do think that it's on his part though. He needs to kind of look at more of the business aspect of it and
Right.
just realize like you're not only hurting these upcoming artists, but you're hurting your own fucking record label at
Right.
this point.
And you got to remember too, it's not all Jay. Everybody's like, "Oh, it's all Jay." No, Shaggy fucking hates those dudes too. Um
Yeah, but
but
how often do you
Jay
see Shaggy?
Right. Jay wears his emotions on his sleeve, which I can relate to. And that's why I like Jay more. But, Jay is very much, you know, he's the more emotional, he's the more open one about that type of shit.
I still say
So,
we should just get all four of them locked in a room together and put a camera in there.
bruh, only if it's a hardcore match. Um, Speaking of
Electrified
which,
steel cage.
we're going to move on from this divide talk. Our final thoughts on the matter is it sucks, but it's here to stay. And the best way to fucking avoid it is to listen to everybody. Fucking give everybody a shot and quit it with the fucking diss tracks, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just tired of hearing them. I don't care if they're coming from the clowns, from Twisted, coming from some offshoot fucking person with attention who needs attention.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the diss tracks are kind of lame.
Yeah, I'm getting tired of fucking reporting on them.
Yeah. Um, but a segment that we do on the radio show we're gonna do here because I haven't recorded in 2 weeks. To be honest, I have been sick. I went to the Scum show. Shout out to Scum, putting on an amazing fucking show. But I did get sick. I did end up having the vid, and I'm just kind of recovering from that now. So uh, we haven't talked about the news in a hot fucking minute. So it is time. I'm just stalling right now. It is time for the news. Swanky, right?
I know, I love it.
Hell yeah. We production value, my guy. But obviously the divide. We talked about that. But oh, I didn't organize these either. I should have. My bad. My bad, y'all. But let's talk about our guest. If y'all don't know, this is Bash, the dead guy. Uh Spread the Dead podcast. You are taking a little bit of a hiatus from Spread the Dead. I know you're kind of pulling some strings backstage, but for the most part, you're leaving it to Flipsy, correct?
Yeah, so I am producing the show from the background. I've decided that due to my mental health, I gotta kind of, I have to step away, and I can't necessarily come back until I know I'm healthy. So,
Oh yeah. But we know that, like, me and you have gone through that spat several times where one of us would hop on and pick up the slack for the other because we both have mental, hang up sometimes. But you were telling me about this new podcast that you're all excited to do, and honestly, I'm a little fucking jealous because it sounds right up my fucking alley. You want to talk a little bit about Body Bag Podcast?
Body Bag Podcast is it's a something that originally me and Bartle had an idea for. Um, Except for this goes deeper into horror movies because horror movies has always been my first and only love since I was just a kid. So I'm doing deep dives into horror movies one by one. I'm giving them their own platform, and I'm gonna deep dive into every genre of horror because I'm a horror movie junkie.
Hell
I
yeah.
have to watch horror.
Hell yeah. I know, if you look back at Bartleboss and Dead Guy, we did launch a horror channel that eventually became my channel sub channel, which eventually became this channel right here. And you can actually look back, and I think they're privated, but I have horror movie videos that we did, and we do the fucking horrible horror review segment on the show, but nothing compared to what you're doing on the channel. You want to tell them a little bit about what to expect with the videos you're putting out?
So I not only am I doing deep dives into movies, I'm giving people the backstories on the movie, favorite death scenes, most wanted kill scenes, the kill count, which is always fucking important. You got to have a kill count.
Right.
And I'm giving you also background on some of the actors that are being put front and center in front of you. You
So
know,
I will say this because me and you, we talk all the fucking time about wrestling and horror. You always have some like tidbit information out of fucking left field that like I never fucking knew, and you're always blowing my mind with little facts about this and that with horror movies and shit. And man, I love that that bleeds through, like, because now everybody gets to experience that. You get to experience, the little fucking facts that you never knew you knew, you needed to know, and it's super fresh. Like I know a lot of these horror movies, I'm like, oh, I never fucking realized that, and now you guys
so
can experience that shit.
I could actually give you a little tidbit right now. So the first ever episode, as you can see, is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022.
Hell
The
yeah.
reason why I picked this movie is if you know me, you know I'm a huge fan of Michael Myers and Leatherface. Um, Leatherface is based off of Ed Gaines, the real life story of Ed Gaines and who the
Hmm.
person was. And the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie came out in 1974. It was the first ever slasher movie put out right after the movie uh, Creep and Psycho. So,
Hmm.
and it kind of set the stage for when we got in 1978, the first ever Halloween, and then Freddy Krueger, and so on
Right.
and so
So
forth.
it's the jazz, jazz bringing in rock and roll, or blues, I believe, brought in rock and roll. And so this is kind of the blues of slasher flicks, because everybody agrees that Halloween was the first like real slasher flick. And this is the grandfather of that. This was the inspiration for that.
Yeah, pretty much. This is what started the slasher genre, and I feel like a lot of people sleep on some stuff because there's so many prequels and requels and all that coming out
Hmm.
of stuff. I and I have such a vast knowledge on horror that I love all of it, and
Right.
I love remakes. I love the originals.
See, I only like the garbage. Like, I only like the pure trash fire that is horror. Shout out to
Wait till I
Trump.
do.
I got a few previews for shit coming up that I'm gonna be talking about. But one, I don't know if you want to announce it yet, but I know what your next movie is gonna be. And I refused to watch it for so fucking long, and I still haven't watched it, but I'm thinking about watching it just so I can watch along.
I actually, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you guys the next 3 episodes, and I will tell you how you get to see them. Episode 2 is going to be Child's Play 2018.
Garbage. Garbage.
Episode 3 is going to be Insidious Chapter 3. And the reason for that is there's a character that plays in the movie that's also going to be episode 4, which is Scream 6.
Hell yeah.
Um, Now, if you're somebody that watches Spread the Dead, I drop the episodes to the members only first over there, and
Hmm.
then literally a week later they will pop up on this channel. So either you can wait for them or you can go get that. It's up to you.
Right.
I'm just happy if somebody watches it.
But more importantly, you do need to head on over to Body Bag Podcast and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of the fucking horror movies. And hey, before you switch over there to do that, make sure you're subscribed to the Bartle House so you can catch more of these awesome fucking talks, the radio show, as well as the interviews. Lots of big things coming, lots of fucking changes as well. So stay tuned to all of that. And let's see what else we have. But yeah, my final thought on that is check out Body Bag Podcast.
Hell yeah.
This is just a little picture. As you guys know, I was at the Scum Show. I got amazing fucking footage at the Scum Show in Reading, and all those videos are now up and available on the Bartle House. So if you haven't peeped them out yet, I will say the Scum Show, the Scum set specifically, came out so well. I was right up front with my GoPro, and the footage is a lot better than I thought it was going to be. So go fucking peep it out if you haven't, and show some love. This was announced about a week back. Again, I haven't fucking streamed for 2 weeks, but I've been waiting for this album for so fucking long, and that is Tierra Diaz, Manaflex. He announced this shit forever ago, and he finally has the EP available, but you can only pick it up right now if you go to the tour. He only has it available at the Three Headed Monster tour, which just announced dates in the West Coast, I believe.
Hell yeah.
But man, I need it so bad. I think it's coming out in October, end of September, maybe early October. I don't remember the exact date. I will get that for you guys for the next Bartle House. But moral of the story is I need this album. And BioKillers just dropped a new single. Literally, are dropping a new single tomorrow. Uh, called "When the Darkness Falls." BioKillers, of course, once part of Mission Infect. These guys are fucking awesome. If you guys haven't checked them out, fucking check them out. Here's one. Here's one you could talk about, Bash. I know you're gonna love this. Um, so about a month ago or so, AEW was going to Detroit. I don't know if they've already had this event or not, but apparently the Insane Clown Posse kind of hit up somebody through. I don't know if they hit him up through Bryce Rensburg, but Bryce Rensburg's the one reporting on this, who's one of the refs of AEW, and was talking about how the clowns were kind of saying how they want to be on this Detroit show of AEW. And I mean, I could read it here, but long story short is Tony Khan not outright saying fucking no, but kind of hinting at the fact that, it's going to be a no from them, dog. But so what are your feelings on this?
So honestly, I'm very disappointed in that because we had saw a few months back, Nyla Rose was trying to shout out the Insane Clown Posse on social media. And if you don't know who Nyla Rose is, she is the first ever transgender female wrestler.
Right. And I think the first female champion, or first
Yes.
women's champion of AEW.
Yeah. No, she's actually the second.
The second.
She's the second, but she's the first ever transgender champion.
Right.
But she was trying to shout them out on social media because they were heading into Detroit, and the posse never showed up. They didn't get the invite, but they did see the shout out. I remember we were talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they were in Detroit, the Acclaim did a rap and started talking about the Juggalos. And what's funny to me about this is Corey Graves just recently at SummerSlam did the same thing. He shouted out the Dark Carnival live on pay-per-view. So,
I mean, the clowns are making kind of a splashback in wrestling because I guess there's Jay is obviously doing shit with the Brothers of Thunderstruction in NWA, including writing their intro, which is super fucking fresh. And they're going up against the tag team title champs, who are being managed by Vampiro, of all people.
Which is kind of funny,
Right. I think it's hilarious. But NWA's doing it. I don't know why AEW wouldn't want something with the, especially because they have Danhausen, who very much resembles a Juggalo.
Yeah. he does. He very much so does. And so this is kind of the thing that gets me, and it's always been like this. And we've kind of seen over the past 2 years now, and it's something that I've obviously shouted out many times. I do it every year during the Hall of Fame thing.
Mm.
We need the posse inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Oh, for sure, 100%.
They've done so much in wrestling. They've ECW, WCW, IPW, JCW, WCW, WWF. Like, come on,
this is what bums me out, man. I wish they were on that AEW. I think one of the problems is AEW likes to have their retro acts, but they want them to be able to wrestle. Like every old wrestler that's come back for AEW, or most at least have gotten in the ring and done some wrestling. Maybe not like William Regal, but like, Jeff Jarrett's wrestling. Sting is wrestling, and with Jay's heart problem and Shaggy's back, I don't think that's a possibility.
So we actually just saw right before the gathering, Jay did a high spot in the middle of a Madman Pondo match where he did a big splash off the top rope through a table on Madman Pondo's opponent. And this is something that kind of got me. It was 2 years ago we got the announcement that they were going to be doing the farewell tour. Obviously, the farewell tour is not happening. But we have seen that Jay is now regularly touring, especially with the 3-Minute Monster Tour. I'm thinking something changed in his health, where it changed for the better, and he's starting to feel like his old self, seeing that he's doing. I mean,
there's one big clear change, which we're not going to talk about, but definitely something changed. But no, I'm bummed out because I feel like AEW would be a great place for the clowns. There's so many wrestlers in AEW that have wrestled for JCW or have a rapport with the clowns already. I mean, I don't know if what's his name from the Brotherhood is still in there. Coco Cabana. I don't know
Oh,
if he's
so
still wrestling for AEW. Joey Janela's not, but he, clearly does stuff with with JCW. Uh,
JCW and GCW.
right. And there's so many opportunities, so many places they could work the clowns in that like I honestly I just want to see Danhausen get into beef with the clowns. Like that's all I need. Uh
So ICP did a short stint with ROH
yeah,
before they went to TNA. But Cole Cabana is on ROH now, which Tony Khan owns.
right.
So if we see them do anything with AEW, it's probably going to be in when they go to do the Ring of Honor shows, which are
I mean, that's cool too. I want to see them on I want the official like, hey, we were on AEW.
yeah.
You'd think maybe Sting might have a little bit to do with this too, because Sting outright has beef with the clowns. Because
Oh, most
as
definitely.
Jay said something about Sting used to tell the fucking wrestlers' wives on them.
So both Shaggy and Jay were a part of that story, and
Mm-hmm.
honestly, Sting openly admitted that he used to party very hard and he used to cheat on his wife.
Mm-hmm.
But then he got clean and he ended up finding God. And after that, he kind of went on this, high spot for a little bit where he's just like, oh, you're doing wrong.
Right.
And they honestly weren't cool with it. But you got to think when they were in WCW at the time when this happened, WCW was on, the decline. So
Right.
they were trying to get any type of like stars in there, and who better than the people that were just with the WWF, you
Yeah.
know?
But
I
yeah,
definitely think
bummer. This is a bummer for me. Break the clowns on AEW. Tony Khan, if you're watching, I know you watch my show. No, you don't. Uh, clowns for AEW.
fuck if he's watching your show, then he must hate me.
Yeah, I mean, facts. I hate you. Let's go to the next one. New fucking music video official visualizer out for Body Bag from Fams Stray of Sky Swamp Orange and Recognize. This dropped yesterday, I believe. Um, fucking peep it out. Stray has a new album he has announced called Cloud Atlas, I believe. Cloud something. I think it is Cloud Atlas, which will be coming really fucking soon. Black Mold was the first music video off of it. If you guys haven't peeped it out, go watch the last Bartle House. We did live react to it. Uh, it was super fresh. I love Stray. He is probably one of my favorite artists in the scene right now. But yeah.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's it for the fucking news.
Oh,
All right, I cut you off with the fucking title.
holy hell, that was quick.
Hell yeah. I mean, I don't have all the news. I'm just one sad little beat tiger. But we got one more topic tonight to talk about. It's another big topic. Maybe not as big as the divide, but it's this recent news coming out about JuggalOhio and
Oh,
the bidding and the whatnot. Do you want to kind of sum it up?
so there are 6 spots opened up for Juggalo Ohio. Each set is going to be 10 minutes long, and they're pretty much doing a bidding war between artists on it. And so far, I actually know of several artists that are trying to get on it. One of them is a good friend of mine named Gore Leone. But I also know another artist that openly said that he's tapping out on this because he can't afford it. So
Right. Fuck, I wish I still had the fucking messages I sent you. Um, yeah, so there is text messages that were sent to an artist. I will not really reveal his name, but I am Facebook friends with him as well as have had him on the channel. You figure it out. Um, but messages that he had received directly from the people from JuggalOhio saying, uh, that this is going to be a buy-in type thing, and it would be it's people bidding against each other just to open up for JuggalOhio, and there's only going to be 6 openers, and and if anybody, and it literally said in the text, if anybody has a problem with it being a buy-in event, to let them know so they could take your name off the fucking list.
So there's something, there's kind of like an old school feel with that. I've heard of
Mhm.
artists having to sell tickets to a show to earn their
Right,
spot. Um, but to have a list of artists and pretty much have a bidding war between them for those 6 spots, and they're 10
right,
minutes long, kind of seems a little excessive. If I'm trying to, form a show that's supposed to be like the second ever one of
right.
this, I would definitely go for a fan's choice.
Yeah, it
For
seems a little
openers.
greedy to do a bidding war. I mean, even if it was just they set the price and it's first come, first serve, that seems a little more, fair than having some bidding war that could go up to ridiculous levels. And really, the only people that are going to play are people that are throwing money around.
Yeah,
And, you got to remember a lot of people at Jug Ohio, they didn't get in for hours. So like those opening acts are going to be going on while most of the people are still trying to get in.
yeah.
Uh so
You got to think.
what are you paying for?
Yeah, because you got to think the three main acts that are going to be playing that aren't paying to play are Ouija, Hex, and Darby. You
Right.
know, everybody else is just opening up for them. And honestly, I kind of feel like if you're an upcoming artist that has money and you can get in on this, I kind of feel bad for you because you need to, uh, you want your music out there. You want it to be heard. I honestly think that they should do more of a first come first serve, you know, as a regular buy-in, buy the spot at whatever price we set, instead of, hey, let's see who can outbid who for these 6 spots.
Right.
Because there are also some artists that don't make money like that, that are still working 9 to 5 jobs, sometimes 12-hour shifts, and want to get on this, that have played like the Shaggy tour.
Well, also, how do you know that there aren't people bidding people up? There's no way, there's no accountability either. So like you don't know if the people who are running Jug Ohio are just telling people that like this is bid up and it's not. Like there might be an opener that gets it in for a whole lot cheaper than the other openers, and if they find out how much each of them, are paying to perform and there's a big difference, that's going to cause problems.
Oh yeah, it's going to cause massive fights.
Right. So like they're overcomplicating it. They're making it like obviously pay to play is kind of a thing now in the scene. There are a lot of artists in pay to play, and I know a lot of artists don't fuck with pay to play, and shows become stale because some artists don't want to do pay to play, and some, you know. I will say this though, if you're going to a show, don't. I used to always order the tickets ahead of time. Reach out to your artists and see if they're selling tickets. A lot of times they post when they're selling
Mhm.
tickets because a lot of them need to make up. The way I think it works is they get sold a certain amount of tickets and then they have to sell those tickets to make back the money that they put into act to performing. Um,
Yeah,
so I always reach out to at least 1 or 2 artists and try to get tickets from them. Uh,
I actually saw, when I was out in Arizona, there was an artist that I ended up seeing at the 6th annual LSP and GRE show that performed. He was selling tickets for the Twisted show, and he was selling them a lot cheaper than they were at the
yeah,
door and online. And we even saw it with Cody Manson. He announced it on Facebook, and yet again, I was out in Arizona at the time,
right.
saying, you have to sell X amount of tickets if you want to have your spot on this tour. and that was something that I've kind of known throughout the years. A lot of artists do that.
Mm,
Me coming from a musical background because of my family, it's something that my dad also had to do coming up in the hardcore scene. So that's a little more approachable. So definitely reach out to your artists and ask them because you 9 times out of
right.
10 you'll get a better deal.
Hell yeah. So, guys, out and down in the comments, down in the comments. Let me know your thoughts about tonight. Let me know what your thoughts are on the divide. Do you feel like it should end? What are your thoughts on is Jay taking it too personally? Um, is it bad for business? I want to know your guys' thoughts on the divide. Also, let me know your feelings on the pay to play. Do you have any experience with paying to play, or maybe shed a little light more on how it works? I know a lot of artists around here. You guys watch the show. Um, let us know. I do want to know more from you guys. I want to see more of you guys in the comments because I love hearing from you guys. And fuck, let me know if this format works. Let me know if you guys liked it. Um, and we'll do more of these. I do want to have other guests on as well, not just always my homie Bash, but Bash had to be on the first one because he is my brother, and I fucking love him. Uh, but like I said, leave me comments down below. Make sure you hit the like button if you like the show, as well as share it with the homies and keep in touch because I didn't grab the CDs, but I will be doing giveaways. I have a Road to 500 giveaway coming up, which will include Bad Uncle from Scum, Mattapelli's Welcome to the Sanctum, and Michael Lawless's Carn Evil. And I might have more to add depending on how many subscribers we get and how many people share shit out. That video will be dropping really fucking soon. But any last words or final thoughts, Mr. Dead Guy?
Yes, make sure you water your grass because I'm getting fucking tired of waking up every morning and reaching through dry dirt. Okay, it needs to be moist.
Moist.
No, thank you for having me on.
Of
I
course, my guy.
appreciate it. Make sure you guys subscribe to the Bartle House. This is my number one pick that I like to listen to throughout my week. Make sure you subscribe to Body Bag Podcast. And if you haven't headed over to Spread the Dead yet, make sure you fucking do.
Hell yeah. And let's kick this off old school. Let's end it off old school with something a great person once told me, and that is stay safe.
Stay
I forget.
happy.
Stay
Stay the
happy.
fuck away from hate. Because
Stay
that
the
shit will kill
fuck
you.
away from Bash because he will fucking kill you. No. Stay safe. Stay safe. Stay safe. Beef Tiger out.
The border house is open, no invite needed with Juggalos. Been hyped this evening, feeding for music, more guests than topics. No drama, no bullshit, no fake news, no nonsense, no grim logic. Only fam knowledge and dropping the rawest of platforms and artists. Border house where you'll never see the bottle stop. The beef tigers off the leash, and if it's beef, you gotta see the final Bartleboss. The diamonds are raining, defining the greatness the carnival provides. Welcome to the border house. Now get your ass inside.